In a small bustling town, where the clamour of market vendors mingled with the laughter of children playing in the streets, there lived a young woman named Amina. She was known for her beauty and kindness, often helping her neighbours and friends with their troubles. Yet, beneath her radiant smile lay a heart burdened by the expectations of her family, especially her stepmother, Fatima. Fatima, a stern woman who had always prioritized wealth and social status, viewed Amina not just as her daughter, but as a means to secure her own place in society. Amina's father had passed away years ago, leaving her mother to remarry Fatima. While Fatima claimed to care for Amina, her true motives were often clouded by a desire for prestige. She frequently spoke of advantageous marriages, instilling in Amina a sense of obligation to uphold their family's reputation. Amina, she would say, a good marriage is a woman's greatest treasure. It can lift us from the depths of poverty to the heights of wealth. Amina could feel the pressure mounting, the weight of her stepmother's expectations pressing down on her like an anchor. As Amina reached the age of marriage, the town's whispers grew louder, echoing Fatima's ambitions. Society viewed women as trophies to be won, their value determined by the wealth of their husbands. Amina was acutely aware of the conversations that swirled around her. She must marry a rich man, they said, one who can provide for her and elevate their status. The pressure was suffocating, yet Amina longed for a life where love transcended material wealth. When the day came that her stepmother announced her engagement to a local farmer, a man with little means but a kind heart, Amina's world turned upside down. The news struck her like a thunderbolt, leaving her reeling. How could she be married off to someone so poor? She felt torn between her duty to her family and her desire for true love. Fatima's expectations weighed heavily on her shoulders, drowning out her own feelings and aspirations. The thought of marrying a man whose pockets were empty, but whose heart was rich, filled her with confusion and fear. Yet, as Amina sat alone in her room that evening, she allowed herself to dream. Could love blossom in such humble circumstances? Was it possible to find happiness with a man who had little to offer but his affection? These questions swirled in her mind, battling against the societal norms that dictated her worth. Amina knew that her stepmother would never understand. To Fatima, love was secondary to wealth. Despite the tumult in her heart, Amina resolved to embrace her fate. She could not ignore the glimmer of hope that flickered within her, a hope that whispered of a love that could transcend social barriers. As she prepared for her wedding, Amina chose to focus on what truly mattered, the freedom to love and be loved, regardless of the material trappings that society held in such high regard. Thus began Amina's journey, a tale of love, sacrifice, and the quest for self-identity in a world that sought to define her. As she took her first steps into this new life, she felt a mixture of trepidation and excitement, for she was determined to carve her own path in a world that often sought to confine her. Little did she know that her marriage to a poor man would not just be a union of two souls, but a journey that would lead her to discover the true meaning of freedom and happiness. Amina sat quietly in her room, the weight of the impending marriage heavy on her shoulders. The day had finally arrived for her to meet Hassan, the man chosen for her by her stepmother, Fatima. Though she had heard whispers about him, she knew little beyond the fact that he was a humble farmer, struggling to make ends meet. As she gazed out the window, watching the clouds roll across the sky, a mixture of dread and curiosity filled her heart. When the time came for the meeting, Amina descended the stairs, her heart pounding. In the living room, Hassan stood awkwardly, dressed in simple but clean clothes. His eyes were kind, and there was a softness to his demeanor that immediately put Amina at ease. He was tall and lean, with sun-kissed skin that spoke of long days spent working in the fields. Despite his humble appearance, there was an air of dignity about him that intrigued Amina. "Hello, Amina," Hassan greeted her with a warm smile, his voice gentle. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "Hello," Amina replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt a strange connection, but the thought of marrying him for her family's sake overshadowed any budding feelings. They exchanged pleasantries, each searching for comfort in the unfamiliar situation. As they spoke, Amina couldn't help but notice the stark differences between them. Hassan spoke of the beauty of nature, the joy of simple pleasures, and the satisfaction of hard work. His passion was evident, yet Amina felt an ache in her heart, knowing their worlds were so different. Amina's thoughts drifted to the life she had envisioned for herself, one filled with adventure, romance, and perhaps even the opportunity to travel. She had dreams of exploring distant lands and living a life beyond the confines of her stepmother's expectations. Now, those dreams seemed to slip further away with each passing moment. As the conversation progressed, Amina's reluctance grew. Although Hassan was kind and genuine, she felt the weight of her family's honor resting heavily on her. "What choice do I have?" she thought. "I must do this for my family." Her stepmother had made it clear that marrying Hassan would bring stability and respect to their household, even if it meant sacrificing Amina's own happiness. Meanwhile, Fatima watched from the doorway, a satisfied smile on her face. She believed this marriage would elevate their status, allowing her to bask in the glow of societal approval. To her, the match was perfect. A poor but hard-working man who would respect their family's name, even if it came at the cost of her stepdaughter's dreams. Fatima had always valued status above all else, and she saw this marriage as a stepping stone to greater things. As the evening wore on, Amina's heart wrestled with her mind. She admired Hassan's resilience, but the reality of their situation loomed large. How could she marry a man with so little when her stepmother constantly reminded her of their need for wealth? Amina felt trapped between duty and desire, with the spectre of her family's expectations looming over her. After the meeting, Amina retreated to her room, her emotions swirling like a tempest. She longed for a connection that transcended material wealth, but the reality of her situation was undeniable. She could almost hear her stepmother's voice in her head, admonishing her for even considering defying their plans. "A good marriage is your greatest treasure," Fatima had often said, reinforcing the belief that love was secondary to security. In the days that followed, Amina tried to convince herself that this arrangement could work. Hassan was a good man, and perhaps with time, she could learn to love him. But deep down, she felt the pangs of sadness as her dreams began to fade into the background, overshadowed by the responsibilities of marriage. As the wedding day approached, Amina struggled to find peace. She had resigned herself to the idea of marrying Hassan, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was trading her happiness for family honor. Each time she saw her stepmother, Fatima would speak of the wedding preparations with excitement, blissfully unaware of the conflict brewing within Amina's heart. The day of the wedding drew nearer, and Amina knew she had to make a choice. Would she continue to follow her stepmother's wishes, or would she find a way to embrace her own heart, even in the face of societal expectations? As she stared at her reflection in the mirror, she wondered if love could indeed blossom amidst the constraints of duty and family honor, or if she was destined to live a life of quiet resignation. Amina stood at the threshold of her new home, a modest cottage nestled on the outskirts of the village. The walls were worn and the roof had seen better days, but the small garden out front burst with vibrant flowers and herbs, a testament to Hassan's care and hard work. As she stepped inside, the scent of earth and sunshine filled her senses, and she felt a mix of trepidation and curiosity. This was her new life, a life with Hassan, the man her stepmother had chosen for her. The interior was simple but cozy, a small kitchen with a clay stove, a wooden table that bore the marks of many meals shared, and a small sleeping area adorned with hand-woven blankets. Amina took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. Gone were the luxuries of her childhood home. This was a world defined by necessity, not abundance. Yet, as she surveyed the space, she felt a flicker of hope. Hassan was already hard at work in the garden when she joined him, kneeling beside him to help with the weeding. Their hands, caked in soil, spoke of the labor that would become a daily routine. "You have a beautiful garden," Amina said, glancing at the blooming flowers. Hassan looked up, his eyes brightening. "Thank you." "I believe that with a little love and care, anything can flourish," he replied, a genuine smile lighting up his face. As the days turned into weeks, Amina found herself adjusting to the rhythms of her new life. Mornings were filled with chores, fetching water from the well, tending to the garden, and preparing simple meals from the modest rations they could afford. The financial strain was palpable. There were times when the pantry was nearly bare, and they would share a meager meal of bread and vegetables. Yet, despite the struggles, there was a warmth in their small home that Amina had never anticipated. Hassan's laughter rang out like music as they worked side by side, his easygoing nature a soothing balm for her worries. In the evenings, they would sit together on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the fields. These quiet moments became sacred, and Amina began to realize that happiness could thrive even in the most modest of circumstances. Their relationship blossomed in unexpected ways. Initially, Amina had been hesitant to let her guard down, wary of becoming too attached to a man she had only just met. But as Hassan shared stories of his childhood, his dreams, and his struggles, she found herself drawn to his resilience and kindness. He had a way of making the burdens of life feel lighter, of turning ordinary moments into something special. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Hassan turned to her, his voice gentle. "You know, Amina, I may not have much in terms of wealth, but I promise to give you my heart and my best every day." His sincerity washed over her, and Amina felt a warmth spreading through her chest. In that moment, she realized that love could indeed flourish in the unlikeliest of places. As the weeks passed, small moments of joy punctuated their daily struggles. On a particularly beautiful morning, Hassan surprised Amina with a bouquet of wildflowers he had picked from the meadow. "For you, my love," he said, handing her the vibrant blooms. Amina felt her heart swell as she breathed in their sweet fragrance. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes about his affection. On another occasion, they decided to host a small gathering for their neighbors. Amina spent the day preparing a simple meal, and as the sun began to set, laughter and chatter filled their home. The joy of sharing food and stories with friends brought a lightness to Amina's heart. In that moment, she realized how connected she felt to her new community, and how important these relationships were to her happiness. There were, of course, challenges that came with their modest lifestyle. The financial burden weighed heavily on Hassan, who worked tirelessly in the fields to provide for them. There were days when he returned home exhausted, his face lined with worry. Amina would do her best to lift his spirits, offering encouraging words and a warm meal, reminding him that they were in this together. One evening, as they sat by the flickering candlelight, Hassan opened up about his fears. "Sometimes I worry I can't give you the life you deserve," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. Amina took his hands in hers, looking deeply into his eyes. "Hassan, what we have is more valuable than any riches. I have everything I need right here with you." Her words hung in the air, and Hassan's expression softened. In that moment, Amina understood that the bond they were forging was built not on material wealth, but on love, trust, and shared dreams. They were creating a life together, one where happiness could be found in the simplest of moments, a shared laugh, a comforting touch, and the warmth of companionship. As the seasons changed, so did Amina and Hassan's relationship. Their love deepened, nurtured by the challenges they faced together. They learned to celebrate each small victory, whether it was a bountiful harvest or simply a day free from worry. In their modest household, Amina discovered a richness she had never known, a love that filled her heart, and a life that, though simple, was anything but lacking. In the end, Amina realized that true wealth was not measured by possessions, but by the love and connection they had built together, a bond that would carry them through whatever trials lay ahead. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the modest cottage, Amina found herself awakening to a new sense of purpose. The initial challenges of her marriage had begun to fade, replaced by a burgeoning realization that she could carve out her own identity within the confines of her new life. Living with Hassan had shown her the beauty of simplicity, but it was time for her to explore the depths of her passions and aspirations, free from the weight of societal expectations. One afternoon, while tending to the garden, Amina stumbled upon an old sketchbook that had belonged to her late father. As she flipped through the pages, memories of her childhood flooded back, times spent painting and drawing with him, expressing her emotions through art. Inspired, she dusted off her paints and brushes, determined to reclaim that part of herself that had been overshadowed by her stepmother's ambitions. Amina began to spend her mornings in the garden, painting the vibrant flowers and the rolling hills that surrounded their home. With each stroke of the brush, she felt a sense of liberation wash over her. The colors danced on the canvas, reflecting the joy and beauty she discovered in her daily life. Painting became her sanctuary, a place where she could express her thoughts and emotions without fear of judgment. In her pursuit of fulfillment, Amina also sought ways to connect with her community. She learned about a local initiative aimed at helping less fortunate families in the village. The project involved distributing food and essentials to those in need, and Amina felt compelled to join. As she participated in the initiative, she discovered a profound sense of purpose in giving back. Through her involvement, Amina met others in the community who shared her values. One woman, Fatima, no relation to her stepmother, became a close friend. Fatima was a vibrant soul with a contagious laughter and a heart full of compassion. The two bonded over their shared commitment to helping others, and Amina found herself inspired by Fatima's unwavering spirit. They spent countless hours working side by side, delivering food packages and offering support to families facing hardship. As Amina immersed herself in these activities, she began to realize that she was not defined by her marriage or her stepmother's expectations. Instead, she was forging her own identity, one rooted in kindness, creativity, and community. The joy she felt while painting and serving others ignited a flame within her, a sense of freedom she had never experienced before. With each passing day, Amina grew more confident in her choices. She learned to embrace her passions without fear of judgment, understanding that her worth was not tied to societal norms. During a community gathering, she even shared some of her artwork with others, and their warm encouragement filled her with pride. Amina felt a newfound strength blossoming within her, a realization that she could shape her destiny. As she continued to explore her identity, Amina also recognized the importance of self-acceptance. She learned to celebrate her imperfections and to find beauty in her flaws. The journey of self-discovery was not without its struggles. There were moments when doubt crept in, when she questioned whether she was truly deserving of happiness. But in those moments, she reminded herself of the love she had built with Hassan and the support she found in her community. One evening, as she sat beneath a canopy of stars with Hassan, Amina reflected on her journey. "I've discovered something incredible," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "I've found my heart, my passions, and my freedom." Hassan looked at her with pride, his eyes shining with love. "You are not just my wife, Amina. You are a remarkable woman, and I am grateful to witness your journey." In that moment, Amina understood that her heart was truly free, unencumbered by the shackles of societal expectations. She had forged a path that was uniquely hers, one where she could pursue her dreams and share her gifts with the world. With Hassan by her side and a community that embraced her, Amina felt empowered to continue her journey of self-discovery, knowing that she had the strength to define her own destiny. As she gazed up at the stars, Amina realized that the true essence of freedom lay not in escaping her circumstances, but in embracing them fully. She was a woman of strength, creativity, and compassion, a force to be reckoned with, unafraid to chart her own course in life. And with that realization, Amina knew she could face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that her heart was free, regardless of her circumstances. As Amina settled into her new life with Hassan, a sense of peace enveloped her. She had embraced her identity and found joy in her art and community involvement. However, lurking beneath the surface was an undeniable tension, one that would soon erupt into conflict. The disapproval of her stepmother, Fatima, loomed like a dark cloud, threatening to overshadow Aminas' newfound happiness. Fatima had never truly accepted Aminas' marriage to Hassan. She viewed him as beneath their family, a poor man who could not provide the life her daughter deserved. Amina could feel her stepmother's disdain in every conversation that turned toward her marriage. Whenever Amina visited her childhood home, Fatima would make pointed comments about the simple nature of her new life. "I hope you know how fortunate you are, Amina," she would say with a forced smile. "A woman must always aim for the best, and I fear you have settled for less." Each remark was a dagger, each insinuation a reminder of the expectations that had once governed Aminas' life. The tension escalated one fateful afternoon when Fatima paid an unexpected visit to Amina and Hassan's cottage. Amina had been in the garden, enjoying the sunshine, when she spotted Fatima approaching with a tight-lipped expression. Hassan was inside preparing lunch, unaware of the impending confrontation. "Mother," Amina greeted her stepmother with a mix of hope and apprehension. "What brings you here?" "I came to see how my daughter is faring in this humble abode," Fatima said, her voice dripping with disdain. "I trust you're managing, although it must be difficult for you." Amina felt her heart race, a familiar sense of frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "I'm happy here, mother. Hassan and I are building a life together," she replied, trying to keep her tone steady. Fatima scoffed, glancing around the modest home. "Building a life? You mean living in squalor? You deserve so much more than this, Amina. You could have married a man who could provide you with comfort and security." Her words pierced through Amina like icy arrows. "And what if I don't want that?" she shot back, surprising herself with the defiance in her voice. "Hassan is kind and loving. He makes me happy, and that should matter more than wealth." Fatima's expression hardened. "You're young and foolish. You'll soon realize that love cannot fill your stomach or pay the bills. You need to think about your future, Amina." The conversation escalated, and Amina felt an internal battle raging within her. The part of her that had been conditioned to seek approval from her stepmother clashed with the new woman she was becoming. Did she truly want to embrace a life of poverty for love, or was she being naive? The doubts began to seep in, threatening to unravel the sense of freedom she had fought so hard to achieve. That night, as Amina lay in bed next to Hassan, her mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The confrontation with Fatima replayed in her mind, leaving her feeling unsettled. What if she's right, Amina wondered. What if I'm just a fool for marrying a man with nothing to offer? Hassan sensed her turmoil and turned to her, concern etched on his face. "Amina, what's troubling you?" he asked softly. She hesitated, unsure of how to voice her doubts. "It's just, my mother visited today. She doesn't approve of us, of our life together," Amina admitted, her voice trembling. Hassan sighed, pulling her closer. "I know that the world sees us differently, but I love you. I want to build a life with you, one filled with love and joy," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. But Amina felt the weight of their financial struggles pressing down on her. Their meals were often sparse, and there were days when she could see the worry etched on Hassan's brow as he worked tirelessly in the fields. The hardships they faced began to take a toll on her spirit. What if we can't make it? What if this love isn't enough? She thought, anxiety creeping in. Days turned into weeks. and Amina found herself grappling with her choices more than ever. She often visited the market, where she would see women dressed in fine clothes, their husbands providing for them in ways she and Hassan could not. The jealousy would creep in, fueling her doubts. She questioned whether her love for Hassan was enough to overcome the challenges they faced. Hassan, sensing her internal struggle, did his best to reassure her. "We may not have much, but we have each other," he would remind her, his eyes filled with warmth. Yet, as much as she wanted to believe him, Amina struggled to reconcile her desires with the reality of their situation. One evening, after a long day of work, Hassan returned home to find Amina staring blankly at her paintings, frustration etched on her face. "What's wrong, my love?" he asked, his voice soft. "I just feel lost," she confessed, tears brimming in her eyes. "I want to believe in our love, but sometimes the weight of our poverty feels unbearable. What if it's not enough?" Hassan knelt beside her, taking her hands in his. "Amina, we will face challenges, but love is our greatest strength. We can navigate through this together. Please don't let the opinions of others sway you from what we have." In that moment, Amina felt the warmth of his words wrap around her like a comforting embrace. But the doubts remained, lurking in the shadows. The internal conflict she faced was as fierce as any external struggle. She longed for freedom from the expectations of her past, yet the fear of failure loomed large. As days passed, Amina found herself at a crossroads. She could choose to let her stepmother's disapproval and the challenges of their situation define her, or she could embrace her love for Hassan and the life they were building together. It was a choice that weighed heavily on her heart. In the depths of her soul, Amina knew that finding her path would require strength, resilience, and the courage to confront the doubts that threatened to consume her. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, both internal and external. But as Amina looked at Hassan, she saw not just a husband, but a partner who believed in her dreams and stood by her side. In that realization, she found a glimmer of hope, a flicker of determination to navigate the complexities of love, identity, and the conflicts that lay ahead. As the season changed, a financial crisis struck the small village. The drought that had gripped the region for months had left crops withered and families struggling to make ends meet. Hassan's hard work in the fields was met with disappointment as the yield fell drastically, leaving them with barely enough food to sustain themselves. The weight of their circumstances bore heavily on Amina and Hassan, testing the strength of their bond like never before. One evening, after another difficult day of labor, Hassan returned home with news that sent Amina's heart plummeting. "Amina, I received word from the market. The prices of food have skyrocketed, and I can't sell what little I have left for a fair price. I don't know how we'll get through this," he admitted, his voice heavy with despair. Amina felt a wave of panic wash over her. The thoughts of hunger and uncertainty flooded her mind, and she could see the worry etched across Hassan's face. In that moment, she felt the familiar doubts creeping back in. Doubts about their life, their choices, and whether their love could truly sustain them in the face of such adversity. That night, as Amina lay in bed beside Hassan, she felt restless. The desperation of their situation loomed large, and she knew she had to take action. Suddenly, an idea sparked in her mind. A confrontation with her stepmother might be what they needed. Fatima had made it clear she disapproved of Amina's life, and perhaps it was time to assert her independence once and for all. The next day, fueled by determination, Amina made her way to her childhood home. As she approached the door, her heart raced with a mix of apprehension and resolve. She knocked firmly, and Fatima opened the door, surprise flashing across her face. "Amina, what brings you here?" Fatima asked, feigning warmth. "I need to talk to you, mother," Amina replied, her voice steady. "It's about my life with Hassan." Fatima's expression shifted, and Amina saw the familiar disdain in her eyes. "I hope you're not here to complain about your situation. You made your choice," she said dismissively. "I'm not here to complain," Amina insisted, her voice rising with conviction. I'm here to stand up for myself. I love Hassan, and I choose this life. We are struggling, yes, but we have each other. I won't let you belittle what we have anymore. The confrontation that followed was heated, with Amina asserting her independence and her right to choose a life filled with love, despite its challenges. In that moment, she felt a profound sense of clarity. She realized that love was not measured by wealth or societal approval, but by the strength they found in each other during difficult times. When Amina returned home, she found Hassan waiting for her, his eyes filled with concern. "What happened?" he asked, noticing the fire in her spirit. "I confronted my mother. I told her that I love you and that I won't let her disapproval dictate my life," Amina said, her voice resolute. Hassan's face broke into a relieved smile. "I'm proud of you, Amina." That took courage. In the days that followed, Amina and Hassan leaned on each other more than ever. They brainstormed ways to make ends meet, growing a small vegetable patch, bartering with neighbors, and participating in community support efforts. They faced the crisis together, their bond strengthening with each challenge they overcame. In their struggles, Amina found a deep appreciation for the life they were building. The clarity she had gained from confronting her stepmother resonated within her, illuminating the path forward. Amina knew that love was not about material wealth. It was about resilience, partnership, and the unwavering commitment they had to each other. With each passing day, they fortified their bond, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, hand in hand. As the seasons shifted from the harshness of drought to the promise of rain, life in Amina and Hassan's village began to flourish once more. With the arrival of new crops, hope blossomed in the hearts of many families, including Amina and Hassan. They had weathered a storm that had tested their love and resilience, and as they stood together, hand in hand, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. Yet, a lingering concern remained: Aminas' relationship with her stepmother, Fatima. After the confrontation, Amina had poured her energy into her marriage and community, but she could not shake the feeling that something was missing. Despite her determination to stand firm in her choices, a part of her longed for her mother's approval. Amina decided to reach out to Fatima once more, knowing that the journey to reconciliation would require patience and understanding. One sunny afternoon, Amina arrived at her childhood home, her heart racing with a mix of anxiety and hope. She knocked on the door, and Fatima answered, surprise flickering across her face. "Amina, what brings you here?" she asked, her tone more cautious than before. "I wanted to talk, Mother." "About us," Amina began, her voice steady. "I know our last conversation was difficult, but I hope we can find a way to understand each other." Fatima hesitated, but Amina could see a hint of softness in her eyes. "Come in," she said, stepping aside. Amina entered, the familiar surroundings tugging at her emotions. As they sat down, Amina took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "I've learned so much over the past few months. I've realized that love and happiness don't come from wealth, but from the connections we build and the support we offer each other," she said, her heart full of sincerity. "Hassan and I have faced challenges, but we've grown stronger together. I want you to see that." Fatima listened intently, her expression shifting from skepticism to contemplation. "You're different, Amina." "I see that," she replied slowly. "I may not have understood your choices before, but I can see that you love him deeply." Encouraged by her mother's openness, Amina pressed on. "I understand that you worry for me, Mother, but I am happy. I've found joy in our life together, and I want you to be a part of it. You are my family, and I want to rebuild our relationship." The conversation unfolded with an unexpected vulnerability. Fatima shared her fears about Amina's future, the expectations she had placed on her, and the pressures of societal norms. Amina responded with empathy, sharing her journey of self-discovery and the importance of following her heart. After hours of heartfelt discussion, Amina felt a shift in the air. Fatima's defenses began to lower, and a sense of reconciliation blossomed between them. "I've seen how hard you've worked, Amina," Fatima said, her voice softer. I can't deny your happiness anymore. I'm willing to accept your choice. In that moment, a wave of relief washed over Amina. The bond between mother and daughter began to heal, rooted in understanding and love. As the days passed, their relationship grew stronger. Fatima started visiting Amina and Hassan's home, witnessing the love that flourished in their modest abode. Amina and Hassan also became more involved in the community, embracing their roles as partners in support of others. They volunteered at local events, helping families in need and sharing their journey with anyone who would listen. Their openness about their struggles and triumphs inspired others, creating a ripple effect of acceptance and support within the village. As the harvest festival approached, Amina and Hassan decided to host a gathering, inviting friends, family, and neighbors to celebrate their journey. The air was filled with laughter, music, and the delicious aroma of home-cooked meals. Amina felt a profound sense of joy as she watched Hassan interact with their guests, his warm smile lighting up the room. During the festivities, Amina took a moment to express her gratitude. Thank you all for being here today. This journey has taught us the true meaning of love and community. We've faced challenges together, and I'm grateful for each of you who have supported us along the way, she said, her voice filled with emotion. As she looked around the room, Amina felt a deep sense of belonging. Her relationship with Hassan had flourished, strengthened by their shared experiences and the unwavering love they had for each other. In reconciling with Fatima, she had opened the door to acceptance and understanding, creating a bridge that had once seemed impossible. As the evening wore on, Amina realized that her journey was not just about overcoming challenges, but about embracing love in all its forms. It was about acceptance, resilience, and the joy of building a life filled with purpose and connection. The love she and Hassan had cultivated was a testament to the strength of their bond, a reminder that true happiness lies not in wealth, but in the relationships we nurture. In the warmth of the celebration, surrounded by family and friends, Amina felt a profound sense of peace. Together, they had turned struggles into opportunities for growth, and through it all, love had triumphed, flourishing in ways she had once only dreamed of. As Amina stood in the glow of the evening sunset, she reflected on her remarkable journey, a journey marked by love, identity, and the quest for freedom. The challenges she had faced alongside Hassan had transformed her, allowing her to embrace her true self and recognize the profound strength that resided within her. She had learned that true happiness did not stem from wealth or societal approval, but blossomed from a deep understanding of herself and the love she shared with her husband. With every obstacle they had encountered, Amina had discovered the power of resilience and the importance of following one's heart. The acceptance from her stepmother, once a source of turmoil, had become a testament to the strength of love and the ability to rebuild relationships. Amina knew that love was not just a fleeting feeling. It was a commitment to face life's challenges together, hand in hand. As she looked to the future, Amina felt a renewed sense of hope. She understood that the journey ahead would continue to test them, but they were now equipped with the knowledge that love could conquer adversity. Amina's heart swelled with gratitude for the life they had built, a life rich in joy and connection. In closing, Amina realized that the path to true fulfillment lies in embracing one's identity and defying societal pressures. She would continue to inspire others to seek love over wealth, for it is love that ultimately brings freedom and happiness.